19 months later, the rumors of possible survivors took an astounding turn with the discovery of a troubled young woman in Berlin. After attempting suicide, she had been placed in a mental asylum. She carried no papers to prove her identity, yet she claimed to be a Romanov princess, the Grand Duchess Anastasia. This early silent film reenacts her version of the story. That during the bloody July 17th massacre, she had fainted and been rescued by a soldier. She said that months later, she had made her way to Germany, where in despair, she had attempted to take her own life. Over the years, her startling claim drew visits from numerous Romanov family, friends, and relatives. Several positively identified her as Anastasia. Among these skeptics who came to test and question her was Anastasia's cousin, Prince Sigismund.
The two of them spoke together privately for quite a while. We don't have a complete list of what the questions were, but there were, among them, he wanted to know when they had last met before the revolution, where they had met, and where he, the prince, cousin, had been sleeping, where they'd put him for his bedroom when he was visiting Russia. And according to him, she got all these right.
With the fierce controversy over Anna Anderson's identity still unresolved after years of debate, in 1934, Anderson insisted on proving her claim in a Berlin court. Among the experts summoned by her supporters was world-renowned handwriting analyst Dr. Mina Becker.
After 34 years as a sworn expert for German courts, I'm ready to state on my oath that the handwriting of Mrs. Anderson and Grand Duchess Anastasia are identical. Dr. Mina Becker, April 1964.
Perhaps most convincing of all was the startling comparison of a physical feature many believed to be as unique as a fingerprint, the intricate pattern and shape of the human ear. Anderson's and Anastasia's were compared to the minutest detail.
All of the tests of the ears have come up in her favor. The forensic conclusion appears to be, based on the ear structure, that they are the same person, and that in fact it cannot be another person.
Despite substantial evidence that Anna Anderson could indeed be Anastasia, other clues contradicted her claims. She failed to correctly identify the layout of the royal palace and was heard mumbling to herself in Polish, a language Anastasia never learned. After the longest trial in modern German history, the court failed to reach a verdict. Anderson would spend the rest of her life as a recluse, living in the United States. She would die in 1984, still protesting that she was Anastasia, the Romanov princess. Years later, in 1991, an unexpected discovery would be made in a remote corner near Siberia. For more than 60 years, the mystery surrounding the massacre of the Romanovs would remain unsolved. The most haunting question would persist. Could 16-year-old Anastasia have survived the bloodbath that fateful night? The answers would be revealed in July of 1991, when Russian government officials made a chilling discovery deep within the shadowy Siberian forest. 9 skeletons pulled from a shallow grave. DNA tests would confirm that these were indeed the remains of the Romanovs. Their smashed skulls and bullet-riddled bones, grim evidence of the massacre in 1918. At first, the discovery of the Romanov remains appeared to lay to rest the possibility of survivors. On closer examination, however, they would pose an even more baffling riddle, for the skeletal remains of two bodies were missing from this mass grave. After extensive excavation, Russian officials were convinced that the two bodies were nowhere to be found. Using photographs to compare the facial features of the victims with the skulls, scientists concluded that the two missing bodies were those of two Romanov children, the Tsar's young son Alexei and one of the Grand Duchesses, either Maria or Anastasia.
I'm astonished with the reluctance of people to admit that they don't know what happened to the two youngest children. They simply don't know. I think if those bodies were anywhere near the others, they'd have been found by now.
What became of the two missing Romanov children? Yurovsky, commander of the Bolshevik execution squad, reported that he burned their two bodies, but no conclusive evidence was ever discovered to validate his claim. Was Yurovsky lying? Was it possible that two of the Romanovs had been spared and that Anastasia had indeed survived? And could Anna Anderson, as she claimed, have been the lost Romanov princess?
It's absolutely plausible that everything Yurovsky says about the execution is false. There's evidence that a lot of it is not. It's possible that he had to account for two missing people, and he made up a story of attempting to bury them, attempting to destroy their bodies, burning them.
There was only one definitive way to determine whether Anna Anderson was in fact the Grand Duchess Anastasia. In 1992, the DNA of the Romanovs was compared with the DNA of Anna Anderson, taken after her death. When her DNA failed to match that of the Romanovs, investigators concluded once and for all that Anna Anderson could not have been the Grand Duchess Anastasia. Had Anna Anderson almost perpetrated one of the greatest deceptions in history? How did she know so many intimate details of the Romanovs' family life? Whatever the answer to that question, she was not alone in her pursuit of the Romanov title. For dozens of people over the past 60 years have stepped forward claiming to be surviving members of the imperial family. Their motivation may have been to lay claim to the fabled Romanov fortune. Fabulous treasure said to have vanished during the Russian Revolution. Much of the Romanov treasure was believed to have been confiscated by the Bolshevik forces during the Revolution of 1917. A few priceless pieces made their way to the West, where they're still worn by the crowned heads of Europe. Most of the treasure, however, remains in the Kremlin in Moscow, a glittering memory of an era never to return. To this day, the Romanovs continue to haunt the Russian consciousness. A mysterious dynasty of wealth and power beyond imagining, of sinister palace intrigue, conspiracy, and assassination. In death, as in life, Nicholas and Alexandra embodied the dark, tortured destiny of the Russian people. A doomed couple whose love could not overcome the relentless forces of history, which would forever transform their world and ultimately destroy them.
For a job that's only been around for a little over 2 centuries, it's been held by an incredible range of personalities. Everything you always wanted to know, but were too afraid to ask about. The presidents. Tonight at 8 on History International.